In this video, we'll divide fractions and mixed numbers. If we compare 12 divided by 3 and 12 times 1/3, we find that both answers are 4. This is because multiplication and division are inverse operations. Numbers like 3 and 1/3 are called reciprocals, and division by a number is the same as multiplication by its reciprocal. Two numbers are reciprocals if their product is 1. So since 1/3 times 3 is 1, 1/3 and 3 are reciprocals. The multiplicative inverse of a number is its reciprocal. A number times its multiplicative inverse is 1, the multiplicative identity. To find the reciprocal of a number, write the number as a fraction and then interchange the numerator and denominator so the numerator is the denominator and the denominator is the numerator. Note that 0 does not have a reciprocal because we cannot divide by 0. So now we'll find the reciprocals of these numbers. We'll start with 4/7. The reciprocal is just 7/4, which of course is 1 3/4 if we want to write it as a mixed number. 1/5 becomes 5/1, which is just 5. We have to rewrite 3 as 3/1, which gives us 1/3 as its reciprocal, which we already knew from the previous page. We'll rewrite 2.5 as an improper fraction to get 5/2, which gives us a reciprocal of 2/5. And then 0.8 is probably the most complicated of these. We can write 0.8 as a fraction. We can write that as 8/10. And then we want to write this in lowest terms, and that'll be 4/5. Both 8 and 10 are divisible by 2. So that allows us to take the reciprocal 5/4, which is also known as 1 1/4. The reciprocal of 1 is 1. Remember that we can write 1 equals n over n, where n is any real number except 0. If 1 equals n over n, then we invert n over n to find its reciprocal. Inverting n over n gives n over n, which is equal to 1. Recall that we divide this way. Dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. Recognizing the divisor is important to division by a fraction. To divide fractions, first, change the division to an equivalent multiplication problem by replacing the divisor with its reciprocal and replacing the division notation with multiplication notation. Then perform the resulting multiplication. So if we have 5/8 divided by 2/3, the first thing we're going to do is rewrite that divided by 2/3 as times 3/2. And then we multiply. 5 times 3 is 15, and 8 times 2 is 16. This can't be simplified, so this is it. Our answer is 15/16. Here is a more practical example. An auger bit advances 1/16 inch for each turn. How many turns are needed to drill a hole 5/8 of an inch deep? So what we need to do here is take 5/8 and divide by 1/16. Okay, well, I'll then rewrite that as a multiplication program. 5/8 times 16/1. 16 is 2 times 8, so we can replace that with a 2. And then this is just 5 times 2/1, which is 10. 10 turns. To divide mixed numbers, fractions, and whole numbers, first we change each mixed or whole number into an improper fraction, then convert to an equivalent multiplication problem using the reciprocal of the divisor. Multiply according to the rules for multiplying fractions. Here are a couple of simple examples. First, we'll find 2.5 divided by 3.5. I'm going to change these into improper fractions right off the bat. 2.5 is 5/2, and 3.5, if I can get the division symbol right, 3.5 is 10/3. So this is equivalent to 5/2 times 3/10. Well, there's a 5 in each of those. So I can break that down into 1/2 times 3/2, which is going to be 3/4. 5 3/8 divided by 3. First, we'll change 5 3/8 into a, we'll change 5 3/8 into 43/8. We've just multiplied 5 by 8 to get 40 and then added the 3. And we're dividing that by 3, so we rewrite this as 43/8 times 1/3. And that's going to give us 43 divided by 24. And we can simplify that into 1, and 43 minus 24 is going to be 19/24. Our next example is more practical again. A developer subdivides 5 1/4 acres into lots. Each lot is 7/10 of an acre. How many lots are made? So here we want to divide 5 1/4 by 7/10. So we'll have to write that 5 1/4 as an improper fraction. That's going to be 21/4. And then we might as well just get our reciprocal right now. That's going to be 10/7 there. Okay, well, that's 2 times 5, and that's 2 times 2, and that's 3 times 7, and that's just 7. So we can cancel our 2 here and our 7 there. So we're left with 3 times 5 over 2. It's 15 over 2, which as a mixed number is 7 1/2 lots. For our next example, we ask how many Velcro fasteners, each requiring 1 3/4 inches of Velcro, can be made from a roll containing 100 inches of Velcro. So this is just 100 divided by 1 3/4. We'll change everything to fractions. That's 100 over 1 times 1 3/4 is 7 over 4. Divided by 7 over 4. So that's 100 over 1 times 4 over 7, which is 400 over 7. Well, need my calculator for this. 400 divided by 7 is 57 and some extra bits, and we'll figure out what those are in terms of sevenths. 1/7, 57 and 1/7. So we're losing only 1/4 inch of Velcro, so that's pretty good. Here is a more complicated problem. A piece of trophy column stock that is 21.5 inches long is cut into 4 equal pieces, trophy columns. If 1/16 inch is wasted on each cut, find the length of each piece. Use the 6-step problem-solving strategy. So our 6-step problem-solving strategy says first we need to figure out what the unknown facts are, and what we need to know is the length of cuts to be made. Our known facts, we know that we need 4 pieces. We need 3 cuts to be made, 4 minus 1. We need 1/16 inch is wasted per cut, and 21.5 inches is the length of the stock. So relationships, the length of each piece is equal to the total length, 21.5 inches, minus 3 cuts times 1/16 inch lost per cut, divided by 4 pieces of stock needed. As an estimate, if the stock is 20 inches long and the cut into 4 pieces, disregarding the waste, each piece will be about 5 inches long. So we do this calculation step by step. First, we take that 1/16 times 3 to get 3/16 inches of waste. We subtract that from the 21.5 inches. We have to do some conversions from 21.5 to an improper fraction, and then change this to like fractions. So we've got 344/16 minus 5/16 equals minus 3/16 is 341/16. And then we divide that by 4. So 341/16 divided by 4 is 341/16 times 1/4, which is 341/64, which is 5 21/64 inches. So each trophy column is 5 21/64 inches long.